So we're talking about Rachel Reeves. Should she scrap Labour's pension promise? There's a thought. The Chancellor is being urged by one of her former advisers to abandon what is called the triple lock. He says it's bonkers. His name is Jim O'Neill. He's a former Treasury Minister. And he says she's being hemmed in by unsustainable election promises like the triple lock and like not raising taxes. Let's just remember what the triple lock is. So come over to the screen with me if you can. And we've got, here we are, in the middle is the state pension, right there, OK? And it's supported by these three chains. The three chains stop the pension from falling. So we're asking, what are the three chains? They are the triple lock. 1, 2, 3. Let's ask ChatGPT what exactly is the triple lock, and it will give us an answer here. What is the UK pension triple lock? And it gives us the name of each chain. Inflation, average earnings, 2.5%. We'll come back to that. It then adds, by the way, there are sustainability concerns and questions about whether the policy is sustainable in the long term because it tends to increase pension spending significantly. OK, so the three locks. Whichever is the greatest. Inflation, measured by the Consumer Prices Index, average earnings growth, 2.5%. So you look at those three things and you say, which is the greatest? And that is the rise in the state pension. That is how the triple lock works. And I suppose one argument, Yasmin, is it is totally ruinous for this country.
I have no problems with the pension situation being re-examined. I think O'Neill is right that Rachel Reeves has got herself into this prison in several ways, not just with the pension, but with no more borrowing and all of that. But I think it has to be means tested. Some people can afford to have lower rises than others.
Wow.
And I would be very happy to have a lower rise. But I absolutely am not saying that those who are, don't have the resources I have should also have lower rises. So we need to means test.
Yeah.
But that's the only position
means testing is a good subject of discussion. Let's just stick on the triple lock for a minute. Should they break one of those chains, Mike?
No, it's an outrage. The pensions in this country are some of the lowest in the civilised world. Not only that, but already pensioners in this country have been viciously attacked by this new Labour government. The winter fuel payment's been taken away. The new laws on inheritance in the farming industry hit an awful lot of older people who are hoping to pass their businesses down to new generations. There's no way in the world that you should do anything with the triple lock. And the biggest reason, on top of the two I've just illustrated, is that inflation is going to take off in this country. That is for sure. OK, in a couple of weeks' time, the new fiscal rules come in. So you're going to pay, the employers have to pay more for their labour, and inflation is going to be pushed up because that goes down the price chain. Everything will be more expensive. The minimum wage in this country is going up. So if those young workers are getting more money through the minimum wage, is it going to be taken off pensioners to pay the younger people? I don't think so, because pensioners are the most vulnerable in our society.
They're not the most vulnerable. A whole section of the population of pensioners are not vulnerable. We own our own homes, we have savings, we have investments. So we need to distinguish between those pensioners who could afford to let go of a little bit of the pension. And the younger generation in this country is the one that's really suffering at the moment. They cannot afford even to rent their own homes. And we, as the older generation, owe them.
Yeah, what about energy poverty? Yasmin, what about energy poverty amongst the oldest?
Well, again, I think we have to means test them. I don't need that fuel allowance.
That's too complicated a system.
I don't
There
need
is an argument. The argument
back.
against means testing is that the people who you want to take the pension away from are the ones who've paid the most tax. And so the richest have paid the most tax, and so they surely deserve the pension more.
Look, we are in such an unequal country. I profoundly believe that our society is absolutely dysfunctional because we are so unequal.
Well, because
so
we've got too many rich people.
Pensioners who really need it to get more, and those of us who are more secure to sacrifice.
All right, let's go to Philip in Shropshire. Should they just cut, you see the triple lock there on the screen, Philip, should they just cut one of those chains, at least one?
Good morning, Jeremy and the panel. the reason I believe that the pensioners are being hounded more than anyone is that we've also had this fiscal drag going on for years, which involves the amount where you start paying tax, which has been held at 12,570 for 5-6 years now, and they're going to drag this on to 2028. If you look at the majority of pensioners, they're never likely to see an increase in their minimum earnings before they get taxed. You're taking money from the bottom end, you're taking money from the top end. And the reason they don't want to hammer people that are earning lots of money is because they know people with lots of money will have accountants that will find their way around not paying taxes.
You raise a really good point. I was just thinking as you were speaking, Philip, I wonder if we're getting to a point where someone who only claims the state pension will end up in the lowest tax bracket.
Yeah, paying
We
tax.
must be quite close to that. We were previously, if you had a tiny, tiny private pension, you were being taxed on it, and people were going ballistic about that. Philip, we're in a. So you basically think the pensioners are being shafted from every angle?
Yes, definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm in one of the lucky brackets, if you like. I had a good pension from my employment. And yes, in some ways, I don't need the pension, but I see lots and lots of people around me, particularly pensions, who seem to be really being hammered left, right, and centre. There's a lot of people that have lost their winter fuel allowance. Those people, they're going to put a burden on the state anyway, because these are the people that are going to end up in hospital with all sorts of problems. So where's the logic in hammering people that are the most vulnerable? Because you will end up paying for them anyway. The taxpayer will end up paying for them anyway.
All right, Philip, thanks so much. Nash is in London. Hi, Nash. Hey, Nash. Nash. I wonder if I got... Where's my little card there? Are you listening, Nash? No. June is in Durham.
Hi, Jeremy and panel.
Hey. Hi.
Right, I would just like to say, I mean, the other week we received, in the post, and I opened it from the Department of Work and Pensions, and I said to my husband, oh, your pension's going up, such and such, and he said, oh, very nice. And I opened mine, and oh, mine's going up, very nice. Opened the next letter from Northumbrian Water, which the direct debit's gone from £60 a month to £75, so that's wiped my pension increase out.
Yep.
Then the council tax bill came in from Durham, 10%, which is completely wiped out my husband's triple lock. Plus the energy has gone
raise
up.
a great point.
So we're receiving a triple lock pension to virtually stand still. Bearing in mind, my husband's 78 years old and still working full time, so we're not on the breadline. But when he packs in, we'll rely on a government state pension. And when you're paying out over £300 a month just for council tax and water rates without any other amenities, what do we do if they stop it?
Well, good point, Jude. Thank you very much. And after the break, we're taking more calls on this. Should Rachel Reeves scrap the pension promise? Should she get rid of the triple lock? 0207 862 2222. More calls. We'll see you shortly. Now we're going back to whether Rachel Reeves should scrap the triple lock pension pledge. Nobody's saying yes so far. Nash in London, I'm sorry we couldn't get you earlier. Hello.
Hi. I think, people need to fundamentally, wake up and smell the coffee of what the current situation really is. When the pension schemes were first established by the government, at that time, life expectancy was relatively short. From the time that somebody retired to the time that they actually passed away, it was about maybe 10 to 15 years. Now we have people who are living substantially longer periods of time. Yeah. And also, the other key thing is looking at our demographics. In the past, the average age of our population was substantially lower than it is today. And it's a good thing that people are living longer and that generally people are healthier. But the problem is that how is this to be fundamentally financed? Because the money that people contribute into their pension scheme isn't there to pay for themselves. It's there to pay for existing pensioners.
Yeah,
and this is where
you sound like you might be American, sir. Are you?
No, I'm not American. I'm British through and through.
No, that accent is really throwing me. Well, forgive me, because I just think that all countries have got the same stuff going on, and the Americans have got it as well. I don't know what the solution is, Nash, because this has all come from something that should be good, which is that we're all living to be 98.
Yeah. But just to speak to Nash, society is already adjusting, isn't it, to the fact that people are living longer, because every couple of years we push back the age at which you start getting the state pension. And the other thing is, Nash, which nobody's mentioned this argument yet, even a left-wing Labour government that's in power now realises the massive amounts of money being wasted in, A, the welfare system, and things like the civil service. We waste literally hundreds of billions. Shouldn't we get a more efficiently run government so that we can provide for our pensioners, the most vulnerable in our society?
The fundamental problem is, I mean, governments talk about efficiencies all the time, and if every government was able to extract those efficiencies, I'm sure they probably would have. But the fundamental issue is, and you can go on to the government website, and it will tell you exactly, you can put your own data in, and it will give you a pretty good idea of what your own personal life expectancy is. But essentially, pensions were structured to pay for about 10 to 12 years. You know, any kind of actuarial, any actuary will tell you that actually people are living far longer than 10 to 20 years.
It's retiring earlier. I mean, this is the other strange thing that people.
Yeah, but that's usually on a private pension.
Well, that's true.
They retire.
Thanks,
early.
Nash, very much.
Yeah.
It's I liked it. I just watched Yasmin's expression when you described this Labour government as left wing.
Yes.
She
I don't know what world you live in.
They're a very confusing government. They've got some extreme left-wing policies, like knocking out private education, and then, we're all right-wing now. He can't make his mind up, Starmer.
Sharon in Staffordshire, do you believe that they should cut the chains, or at least one of them?
Good morning, Jeremy. Good morning, panel.
Good morning, Sharon.
No, I don't think so at all. I just think that these pensioners have paid into the system all their working lives. And do you know that England is the lowest paid for pensioners? I think there's one European country that pays £3,300 a month for their pensioners, which I think our pensioners should be getting that now anyway.
Which country is that, I wonder? That's amazing.
Oh, I can't remember. It's
Germany.
one in Spain. I can't remember.
Okay.
I think it's Spain. I can't remember which one, Jeremy, unfortunately.
Well, Spain isn't Spain. I mean, you mean it's Spain, right? It is Spain.
No, I can't remember which country it was, Jeremy.
Spain is in Spain.
In countries where there are higher pensions, taxation is high. We don't want to pay taxes.
Scandinavia is
where high taxation leads to better pensions.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, the weird thing here, if they suddenly announce tomorrow, guess what, everyone, we're going to live to be 200. There's massive celebrations, street parties, everything else. Yeah. Everyone says, oh, brilliant, I can now watch all the Hitchcock films, and read all the books. And then suddenly the following day, somebody says, no, this will bankrupt
but
the country.
Then what they'd have to do
is gone.
They would then have to put a ceiling on how long you can draw the pension. So, for instance, one day, I'm sure they're going to say you don't get it after 75. Now, that will be announced... No, that would be announced 50 years in advance.
50?
50 years in advance, where you have to start paying into your own private pension as you're growing up and fund your older age. That's where it's got to be done.
But the trouble is, that's when you need it most, is when you get to be 85 or whatever. You can't necessarily get out working again. Thank you, Sharon. Bless you. Dave in Liverpool, hi.
Oh, good morning, everyone.
Do they have to break the triple lock?
No, never. Listen, I don't know where Nash has been for 50 years, but I know what I've been doing for 50 years. It's 50 years of hard graft where I've been paying in. Now, the amount that we pay in is nothing to do with the working man or woman. The government set this 50 years ago, what we paid in. I wouldn't have minded paying in a bit more, and we can't foresee what's going to happen in the future. But my concerns are, I've just had a £400 rise, give or take, whatever it is, for my pension. My water rates have just gone up £260 a year.
We just heard this. Yeah.
Yeah, and now so the £400's gone. So basically, I haven't been given a penny more this year. It's just gone on the fat cats or wherever it's gone. But if the average wage is £25,500 a year, this is what the government say you need to live. Why are they giving me 11?
Yeah, no.
And the guy next door. The guy next door is on £100,000 a year. Good on him. His bills are the same as mine. If I go to the food shop, his basket's not dearer than mine. I still pay everything's the same. So you've got to live on £31 a day.
That raised an interesting thing of whether we should have a higher tax on certain foods for wealthier people.
I certainly think we should increase the tax paid by the wealthier sector of the population. I will pay more taxes. My accountant told me, OK, what about inheritance tax? How can we avoid it? And I said to him, I want to pay inheritance tax.
Really?
And he looked as if he was going to have a heart attack.
Well, I think he probably was.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean it.
So you'd rather give your house to the government than to your own children?
No, my children are fine. They're fine.
Well, you're
they
lucky.
can have
Get them on the phone.
Look, I really believe in society.
Wow.
And I'd rather my money went to people who needed
losing
it
one
more than my
millionaire.
children.
Yeah.
Is that so hard to understand?
I think it's extraordinary.
We're losing 1 millionaire every 5 minutes in this country because of the punitive tax rates which
They'll
are being
be back.
brought in.
Don't worry.
Okay.
No, they won't.
Zurich is
honestly.
really boring.
The
They'll be
millionaires
back.
go.
Zurich is
The
boring.
millionaires go. They take their wealth with them.
No,
We're a poorer
they don't.
country.
All right.
They keep their
There
wealth.
is an argument,
They
just to
keep
put
their
it aside,
wealth.
there is an argument for inheritance tax, which is that your kids will be more enthused and motivated if they know their mum is going to give everything to the government.
It's not everything.
Well,
it's not everything.
It's a lot of it.
No,
Yeah.
it's not even a lot of it. It's a section of it.
Okay, thank you. Tony in Nottinghamshire, hi.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's fun in here today. Thank you so much, Tony. What would you like to say?
Yes. Well, I'm a new pensioner who's still working, and the pension I'm entitled to the full state pension is less than what I earned 30 years ago.
Now, as an income per year, what does your pension work out as, can I ask? 13, 14?
It's just over the 11,000.
11,000, okay.
And that is, I earned more than that 30 years ago.
Sure.
And the thing is, because you get just over, well, it was 220, you don't get the winter fuel allowance. You get nothing, no help, nothing.
Yeah.
Now, I did have a private pension, a small one, which I cashed in for my daughter to go to university. And I've got another little private pension. It's worth nothing. But if I cash that in, I'm paying tax on that.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
and it's nothing.
I know. This thing of, thank you so much, Tony. Pensioners sliding into the lowest tax bracket does, as a result of the state pension going up, seems crazy. Why would you take it with one hand and give with another?
Exactly.
Anyway, thank you for your calls. We'll move on.